theatricality and deception. Powerful agents to the uninitiated. But we are initiated.
I'm super excited!
Clean drinking water, a natural resource we often take for granted near the Great Lakes. But Moses West knows a water crisis is quietly growing.
Everybody knows we're running out of water.
A problem the retired ranger spent the past 4 years working to eliminate.
All the water that we need it exists right here in the air.
He believed so strongly in that idea. In 2015, West invented an atmospheric water generator, or AWG, a machine that takes in air and turns it into drinking water.
We're at the place now, I think, making 50, 100, 200, 250,000, a million gallons of water at an incredibly low energy consumption. I think cheaper than groundwater by far. Cheaper than desalination.
So far, 12 of these AWGs exist. West planted them in 3 areas, including the Bahamas, Puerto Rico, and Flint, Michigan.
I need to engage with the people here, and I need to show them what this machine does, and they need to understand that it is their machine, and I am here for them.
West says his AWGs are federally approved, and the water quality is also tested by the Colorado Water Authority.
It's clean. It's good enough to drink. No bacteria or anything in it. And the reason that we go through the filtration process, so as soon as you turn it on, it starts making water.
You may be wondering how these atmospheric generators are tied to Wisconsin.
Most of West AWGs were manufactured right here in Manitowoc.
And the people of Manitowoc should be proud. Just 1 unit provides a city with hundreds of gallons of clean water. The best part, it doesn't cost residents a penny. West works with organizations like the Water Rescue Foundation to cover the cost. So far, the response in the community has exceeded his expectations.
And they were very happy that somebody actually cared enough for them to come to jump over the bureaucracy, come to a private piece of land and do this thing.
Right now, his priority is planting these AWGs in Flint, helping our neighbors here in the Midwest.
They drained fuel. They added something to the coolant lines. They played with electronics. And that's not typical vandal stuff.
Less than a week after bringing free water to Flint, Moses West says the green machine he designed to do just that was vandalized.
Once they broke into the machine and they destroyed the generator, very technical, they knew what they were doing. It wasn't just, random vandalism, not at all. They destroyed the battery, they put metal in the fuel system. I saw that when I was cleaning the fuel filter.
West is a military veteran who travels across the country to areas in crisis, bringing a machine he designed like this one that literally makes fresh water out of thin air. He put the green machine out for people along Saginaw Street on Thursday and was hoping to make a big impact. He says before the vandalism, they were giving hundreds of people free water every day.
You got to look at, I'm making anywhere from 1,200 to 2,000 gallons of water a day. You give it away for free. That's a lot of money out of somebody's pocket someplace.
West says that he can only speculate as to why someone would try to destroy something that was just trying to help the community.
West says he hopes to have the green machine back open and working again soon, with some anti-vandalism features added as well.
It actually sits in the air. I set it on the ground because the ground was a little bit unstable for it to sit on the legs, but now I've got all support for the legs. All 21,000 pounds, though, it'll sit up in the air and make it harder for people to get to do devious things to the machine.
Eyes that look indistinguishable from a real bird. Now, we see these birds every day, and they...
What? There are people out there that believe our birds has been taken over by government spy robots. At first, I laughed. I mean, I really laughed. But then I remembered I saw this somewhere. Yeah, I forgot. The CIA released documents from a long time ago that claims they have done this to animals. For those of you that haven't heard of Acoustic Kitty, go to my page, check it out. It's a very interesting story. But anyways, the bird people say this is how they do it. Well, this looks a lot like this. Maybe the bird people ain't so crazy after all.
Following the introduction of modifications which had been indicated by the results of full-scale tunnel testing of the Avro car at NASA Ames Research Center, a continuation test program was begun. The objective of this program was to prove the effectiveness of the new control system from hovering through transition in the presence of the ground up to free flight conditions. The program consisted in the main of further wind tunnel tests at Ames Research Center to prove the effects of these modifications, with a short flight test program at Avro to establish that the hovering capability had not deteriorated. A brief terrain test program was later added.
So a lot of you guys have been asking how the hot tub heats up without any electricity or a pump. You can see here this water steaming hot. It's about 40 degrees Celsius, 104 Fahrenheit. Basically what's happening, all the magic's here in the coil. That stainless steel coil is taking the water, the cold water from the bottom of the tub down here, sucks it in. And then once it hits the coil, it starts to heat up, and as it heats up, it rises. Hot water rises just like hot air. So it'll rise, follow the curve of the coil, and then gets pushed back out into the tub there. Oh, look at that steam. And as the water gets pushed back out into the tub, out here up the top, more water is then sucked in by the negative pressure back into the coil, and the cycle continues. And that's it, no pump, no electricity, no moving parts. That's how it's done, even out here in the snow.
The buildings in which we just saw and how heavy they were, right? Tons and tons of stones. Well, here's a stone that probably weighs about 20 tons and can barely move from a truck, right? You're trying to move that, the truck's moving, everything's falling, right? It doesn't make a lot of sense. And especially, let's say these buildings were built in the 1800s or 1700s when there were only about 1,000 people and none of this technology existed. Well, that's another good question. How on earth did all of those things get built, right? Or moved, or something like this, right? Or something like this. I think it goes to show that when we look into the past, things were very, very advanced, but we were told that we were supposedly, like I said, running around on horses and wagons and on... So we're going to go back to 1893 Chicago, and this is not the Chicago in which I know, right? The Chicago I know does not have statues like this and look anything like this. But this is what Chicago looked like before it was reset, right? The fires that we heard about in Chicago and all those things, they were removing all of this. Look at this detail. This is a completely different city in which we know of today. Because look at this. Look at the architecture. Look at the design. Think of how hard it would be to create all of this, right? We can barely make a little bean and wrap it in mirrored paper, let alone statues like this made out of copper, right? Look at this archway. Look at the detail here. This is in Chicago. This is old world history which is not taught about. right? They keep us in the dark. They don't teach us about our true potential and how there used to be a unified, advanced society which built like this all over the world.